Good afternoon. I'm Yvette, and I come from the project controls and digital side. Oh, yes. My world is data, forecasts, and increasingly AI. I spend my time turning numbers into insight and what's likely to happen on a project before it actually happens.
Hi, I'm Lawrence, and I'm a project controls manager. Sorry, I'm a project manager at a controls conference. So thank you for having me here. So anyone else in my boat? No project managers at all. It's just me. Anyone that was a project manager and is now? Thank you. So anyone going the other way? Anyone?
Everybody.
Anyone on the way out and going to project management?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, anyway, this is, as you can imagine, this is what the talk is about.
And what we want to do today is show you the tension between these two worlds and how AI is starting to change that tension. The question behind this whole session is a simple one. The data says one thing, the project manager says another. Who do you trust? We're going to argue that the honest answer is both. And here's how.
Well, we'll see, right? So we also think that as well as this relationship, we think that, as you say, AI will change it, but we're not sure whether it will change it. This question, but they ran out of irons. So there were no irons. So that's the explanation for my dress. But the reason was, I found out, is because there's an insurance conference. So, so it completely ran out of irons. But anyway, so there's a link between insurance and insurance conference and what you'll see later on as to what we think will go on with AI, project controls and project management. So maybe we'll test you later to see what you think it might be.
A good project controls manager knows 4 things in their bones. First, measurement creates reality. Until something is measured, governance cannot act on it. If project controls does not define the measurement, someone else will, and usually badly. Second, small errors compound. A 2% productivity shortfall over 6 months is not a 2% problem, it's a recovery program. Project controls catches the small numbers before they become the big ones. Third, trend beats anecdote. One reassuring meeting does not override 6 months of data moving in the wrong direction. The curve is the truth. And fourth, the baseline is the source of authority. Without it, every conversation becomes opinion versus opinion. And the loudest voice wins. With it, change is visible, traceable, and defensible. That is the project controls mindset in 4 steps, and it is why the project manager should want project controls in the room.
So this one's me. So me and one other. So these are my working lines for this. But again, I'm just going to, because Dale here told me to because I was a bit nervous. So he told me to talk about things that happened during the week. So I've only got 1 or 2 more of those. So we'll be on to the boilerplate in a bit. But I'm actually reading a William Golding book at the moment. So Lord of the Flies, who's read Lord of the Flies? Excellent. Has anyone read anything else by William Golding? Okay, so I'm reading a book called The Spire, which has literally taken 35 years to want to read, because it's about the building of a cathedral. I do like William Golding, but it's just taken me a while to motivate myself for that, right? But I actually learning something already, and it's really made me think, and it's literally about this kind of thing. So basically, one thing I learned is obviously these are things that Dale told me not to put into my presentation, and he's recording us, so I feel sorry for us. In the Spire, they're building a cathedral, and obviously these take 100 years or so, like the canals around here took 150 and all of that. Project managers, then it was masons, obviously that kind of thing. But the cathedral in the book is currently a church, and you realize firstly that the services are still going on, because they don't build a cathedral from scratch. Most of the cathedrals, like Salisbury Cathedral, they were churches first. So they're operating churches, and then someone wants to put a spire actually on top of the cathedral. On top of the church. So firstly, I couldn't believe this, so I checked it out, because you think, well, no, that's not how you would do it, right? But what you've got sort of masons and everything going on while all the services are going on. And the other thing that you've got is that they're looking into the foundations. And so they're building up, but the mason is spending as much time digging pits. And the rule of thumb, they said, was that the foundations need to go down as deep as the spire goes up. So, yeah, I just couldn't believe this. But basically, that's what a project manager, I think, should be thinking about. Some of the things that aren't immediately on the task list. Yeah, there we are.
What project controls does best: probabilistic forecasting, not a single date, but a P50, a P70, a P80 range that tells you the shape of the risk instead of pretending to precision we don't have. Trend analysis on earned value, on productivity, on flow consumption, flags deterioration weeks before it's visible on the ground. And pattern recognition across thousands of analogous projects. Systematic risks like interface clashes, float erosion, resource contention that no manual review will ever catch at scale. None of this replaces judgment, but it makes judgment defensible. It gives the project manager something to push against, and it gives the sponsor something to rely on.
So what do PMs do best? So, James, he did know that I might sort of speak to him. He didn't know what about. So, and I'm going to get a bad answer, but he works with me and he's project controls. So give us one thing that I do okay. So, spin. There you go. So you got the value already. So
well, your man behind was saying excuses.
Well, Steve, I was over to you. Excuses, but are they the right excuses at the right time? I did warn Steve but he didn't know what I was going to ask.
Obviously, we prefer the truth.
Say it again. Can you say that again? To what?
Instead of saying spinning, is that sort of like spin doctoring and politics, and you don't want to really associate with that, but it's more managing the message.
Sounds dreadful, doesn't it? But it is.
Managing.
We had some of the same people were to be edited joke once. We were on a big film like that, and we said we need to write a book and all the excuses were right from because some of it just waiting for You could have a sort of I Spy book, couldn't you, with all the ones to see how many have been done on your projects up to now. But yeah, thank you, Steve. Thank you. It is true. It's literally true. The narrative is an important thing. Is what is the narrative? And I guess when I was thinking about this slide, it is those things, but it's also, and obviously project controls managers have this as well. It's just maybe at the margin. Managers think a bit more of it as like a project being a profound, even a long-running project, like a profoundly temporary organization that has to pretend that it's actually it has to pretend that it's a permanent organization to itself in order to cooperate. So it's kind of like a fragile coalition of interests, sort of spanning the different stakeholders and the thing. And so it's maintaining that awareness is something that I think project managers do a little bit better on average. So
this is the uncomfortable truth, and I'd rather say it myself than have it used against me later. Models are trained on the past. They cannot capture the texture of the present. They don't know why a deadline is non-negotiable, only whether the schedule supports it. They don't know that this specific team is 15% faster than the benchmark. They only know the benchmark. They don't know that the project manager has already procured additional resources or resolved the interface issue because none of that has hit the data yet. That's not a bug to engineer away. It's the inherent boundary of what data can represent. And the moment project controls pretends otherwise, we lose the argument, and rightly so. Take a moment and ask yourselves honestly, are you more one or the other? When you look at a project, do you instinctively reach for the data first or the conversation first? Neither answer is wrong, but knowing which camp you're in matters because it tells you where your blind spots are. The data first person has to remind themselves to walk the floor. The conversation first person has to remind themselves to check the trend line. The whole point of this session is that neither discipline sees the full picture on its own.
So obviously we don't have to choose, and you have mentally maybe placed yourself in one or the other category, just maybe 60-40, 55-45. But again, as it said on the last slide, again, is just as important actually how your team and how your stakeholders see yourself, because actually that's how you're coming across. But if on occasion you do have to choose between a perspective, you can go one way or the other, and it's a time-sensitive information, then just think yourself, which one would you more go for? So I think for me, I think of the things we've suggested up there, the best way of thinking of it for me is if the project manager is being vague and kind of hand-wavy, and I'm thanking my colleagues because they know instances of this, then you go with the project controls version every single time. On the other hand, if the project manager can actually excite a case study, something they did 3 or 5 years ago, if they can actually cite some evidence or cite some observation that means they think on this occasion they should go in a different direction, then maybe at the margin it tilts the other way. So,
rather than re-arguing the forecast, we've reframed the disagreement. What would have to be true for the project manager to be right, with a name and cadence on each one? A few I'd flag: permits, the one I'd watch. Outside our walls and the authorities' backlog is long. On the subcontractor, daily beats weekly. Weekly tells you you're late. Daily lets the site manager or project manager act on drift. And on design, the risk isn't the change itself. It's scope quietly added at sign-off. Each of these used to live in someone's head. Now they have an owner and a cadence. That's the difference between a hope and a managed risk. An assumption with no owner is a hope. With an owner and a cadence, it's a managed risk. This is where the tension lands hardest. Two experienced professionals, same project, different answers. The instinct in the room is always to pick the winner. Resist that instinct. Picking a winner is how organizations lose the value of one of their two most important signals. The right move, and it is genuinely difficult, is to make the disagreement visible. Name what each side is actually saying and treat that gap itself as information. That's the shift we're asking you to make.
So I'm going to speed up a bit because I think I've gone a bit slower than Yvette would like me to. So I know there's a couple of good slides coming up. So just on this one, big picture, obviously, all of that kind of vague context, that's stuff that AI is good at, and AI is good at translating one view into another. And then there's something else, but we'll come to that.
Where AI adds real value from a project controls perspective is not that it replaces either of us, it's that it takes the mechanical work off the table. So both project controls and the project manager can spend the time on judgment. The model does the pattern matching across 10,000 activities in seconds. It quantifies uncertainty honestly. It keeps the baseline logic consistent. That frees the project controls to think about what the data doesn't capture, and frees the project manager to focus on the levers that actually move the project. The model is a tool, a good tool, but nothing more.
Yeah, so it's what it says on the slide is all of that context, it becomes testable, particularly from the vague project manager. If the AI can't find 20 different benchmarks of a similar project, then probably there isn't one.
This is the second half of the breakthrough, and it's where project controls earns its keep. Once the project manager's concern has been translated into a specific metric, my job stops being here's the variance and becomes here's what's driving it. That's a diagnostic, not a report. I'm no longer pushing numbers across the table and hoping the project manager acts on them. I'm communicating insight. What the signal means, what would change it, and what decision it needs from them. The project manager gets something they can act on. Project controls gets heard, both disciplines meet halfway and the wall comes down.
So this is a slide that I really like. So, and this is the one that I sort of really care about. This is one of those circles of trust type thing. It's a bit kind of sort of woo-woo or Reddit, whatever. Obviously, at the moment, we're wary of trusting AI. So hallucination, bagging, thing, all of that. And none of us know how to use it. We're all trying to incorporate it. But crucially, because we've already kind of sometimes got trust issues this way, then maybe a sort of third party does actually change things. Because ultimately, if the project controls manager knows that I'm probably going to check their work with an AI, and probably the project controls manager will check their own work before giving it to me, and I'll do the same, then just levels of trust go up. And nothing has to be 100% reliable but there's just an extra stuff being inserted. And I actually think that the relationship will change and become more productive. AI is not just a kind of difficult thing to step around. Thank you.
So the practical answer is this, and it's a project controls answer. The AI checks us, but we check the AI. The model catches the things humans miss, the systematic patterns, optimism bias, the slow deterioration. Humans catch the things the models miss, the commercial lever, the team that's outperforming, the recovery already in flight. Either side is the referee. The AI is the third voice in the room. Project controls validates the inputs. The project manager validates the outputs against ground truth, and the forecast that emerges is defensible from every direction: audit, sponsor, client, and the team actually doing the work.
Sorry, does anyone know that obviously an AI made that cartoon? Can anyone work out how many people know the reference that's going on there? What film is it relating to? Yes, who said that? Yvette. Yeah, thank you. Right, sorry, I just wanted to see if anyone knew what was going on there. All right, go and watch it. Onwards.
Okay. So here are some good places to start with AI. That's not what this talk is about. So if you want to chat to us, please do come and find us at our stand.
So just in terms of getting started, the simplest thing you can do is just start with the smallest useful check, and just check it with AI, and then record that check. And so record whether that check was by person or by AI. So even just doing that is actually a start. Then lots of different ways as to how you would choose, but like one simple thing would be, who does it, or what does it, and who does the check, or what does the check. So one simple thing is, for example, if throughput is your bottleneck, okay, then get the AI to do it, and then the person checks, right? But if assurance is your problem, is your bottleneck, then do it the other way around. So again, like the simple heuristics will just get you started on the journey. So it's me again. So right, here's one step further up. So that was a very simple heuristic. This is another one, is think about the 2x2. So what things are easy to do by a person, and what things are easy to check, okay? So, and some of these things are kind of, the first time you see it, you go, oh, hang on a minute. So jigsaw or Sudoku is a really good example, right? Hard to do, really easy to check, right? And sometimes the AI will find it something easy to do and you won't, and vice versa. So just classify work by actually how easy it is to do and by how verifiable it is afterwards. And then it's much easier to start going through your processes and going, right, yeah, AI does that, person does that, et cetera, et cetera. So all this is like one stage on. So this is how it would start to work through. So you basically start putting things on that 2 and 2, and actually and then again, you identify whether you're doing it or the AI is doing it, and whether the AI is checking or you're checking. Right. Okay. So those were 2 steps as to how you might, very broad brush as to how you might start with AI adoption. So this is like really big picture. No one knows what it's going to look like in future, but there's a really nice paper, Catalini et al. From March, I think. It's quite long, Some Simple Economics of AGI. I do recommend people check it out. It's on my LinkedIn if people are interested. They say, for example, one thing is that there'll be AI in their incarnation. They're talking about agents, and so there'll just be a lot of that. But they call it the AI sandwich. They'll be steering in terms of direction and like dealing with like what they call Knightian uncertainty, which is like profound uncertainty, you know, Donald Rumsfeld type uncertainty. And then this is where, did anyone figure out that this was the insurance reference? So the idea here is that there'll also be people that, again, it's back to the checking thing, right? Is people will be interested in whether you've checked it, but what they really care about in the future is, are you willing to underwrite it? Are you willing to say, this is our output, this is the AI's output, and you can charge us if it's wrong? So are you going to underwrite it? So that's the AI sandwich, and who knows what it's going to look like, but that's one possible future.
So the key takeaways you can take from today's talk: both disciplines are right about different things. Trust controls when process is solid, data is good, and recovery is underway. Trust the project manager when the program is genuinely novel, the contract has shifted, incentives, or the model can't see what's in flight. AI is the bridge, interpreter, translator, trust machine. The AI checks us and we check the AI. Trustworthy forecasting is a blended position. Stop arguing which side is right. Build the bridge between them. The disciplines that figure this out first will own the credibility advantage.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Are there any questions for either of them? Just as before we wrap up for lunch. Any questions, comments, observations? Lots of people taking photos of the slides, including me. But yeah, any comments, questions?
I have. It's not 7 years.
I don't know it.
Oh, sorry. Project Controls is a service provider. You provide recommendations to a project management function. So in my experience, I've always worked extremely close with the PM and the project management function, and we've owned it together. So that if there's a separation with the field, both parties have failed, because you're all in PM's overall accountable. Project Controls function to service provider. Provide recommendations and advice and guidance on helping deliver the project. So I'm not saying any of that's wrong. I just think different cultures is there's different outputs as well.
Yeah, I completely agree, right? So, I mean, this is essentially a kind of diagnostic of failure. And yes, we're exaggerating for effect. Hopefully, mostly it's a team. So, yeah, we are slightly pastiching us. You bang on, Steve.
But that's also with environments.
Yeah.
There's a lot of environments I've been in where it's not like that at all.
I said because it did work.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to say, is that we're starting to bring it to get closer together than further apart.
Any further comments, questions? Okay, well, lovely. Thank you very much indeed. It's lunchtime now. And next one is 1 to 2.